Hello, I've got some important points to make about these river deaths. I was at the river 2 days ago. You might have seen my photography on my Instagram or whatever, and it's got me thinking that I'm not buying these stories, most of them. Let me show you something. So we've had quite a few people supposedly falling into rivers in like the last week. Now, if you've seen the weather forecasts across the UK, there's been flooding everywhere. There was flooding here. We get flooded a lot because we're in the fens. It's very flat, so it floods. It was flooded when we were there. So these are my photographs, some of them. We went to this place called the Chinese Bridge. We were literally there for 5 minutes, just so I could get some pictures of the swans. So these are my photos. As you can see, the water is disgusting because it's risen so high, it's crossed over the grass and it's sucked in a load of mud. That's why it's dirty, right? So this is where we were. And for safety reasons, I went to the part with this wall here, and I stood behind the wall because I can't swim, and we had a couple of the grandkids with us. So there's a waist height wall. I stood there taking photos. You will see this old building in the Google Maps pictures in a minute. This part of the river has the bridge, it has the wall, and it has this concrete bit which in the summer people stand on to feed the ducks. But you could see how flooded it is. The water started to go over the concrete bit there, and the base of the bridge is starting to disappear. Okay. So yeah, look, you can see the water going over the concrete there. So I stood there. Normally I would go over the bridge and I would get better pictures, because if you see this tree here and you see this green, normally I would go and stand over there and get better pictures, because the view from that side, you get in the bridge, a better view of the bridge, plus the part with the boats on and all the old-fashioned lovely buildings in the village. So it's a much nicer view. But obviously I'm not stupid. Why would I walk over the bridge and risk my life standing on that bank and possibly fall in? Right, this is why I don't believe people are being that stupid. Another thing that could happen is you could be attacked by a swan and fall in. Obviously there's going to be a possible current in that river because it's flooded. I certainly wouldn't be walking a dog along there while it's flooded like that, in case the dog falls in or pulls you in. Right, so look at all this extra water that isn't usually there. All riversides have to have a life ring. You can see one there. So how come some of these people aren't seen falling in and nobody chucks them a life ring? Right, these aren't my photos, these are somebody else's. So you can see this, but I just pointed out this bank here. This lady has been standing on that bank, which you can see in this picture in the front, and she's got the view of the bridge I just mentioned. So the other day I was standing there, you can just see the wall where that boat is, and that's the old-fashioned building in my photograph. As you can see, the view is much nicer from that side, right? So normally I would stand there, but it wasn't worth the risk. Here's another view from that bank, the other side, in the summer. There's the old building in my photograph. You can barely see the bridge because it's summer, obviously. And I would have been standing about there where that grey door is, because that's the toilets, which I wanted to use, but they were locked. Okay. And let's just go to Google Maps. So this is the area on Google Maps. Here we go. This is the arrow, the red pointer is going to take us straight to the bridge. So, this is where I was standing the other day. We parked in this car park where it says God Manchester Town Council. This building is where the toilet is. In fact, here it is. Public toilet. It was shut. I was really annoyed. Here you can see the little wall. That's where I was standing. Just in front of it is that concrete bit I showed you, which was slightly flooded, and the swans were in this bit of water here. Here is the Chinese bridge. That would be the tree that's in my photographs. And this here, where it says canoe hire, is the bank that you can see in my photograph behind the tree. Then there's a bit more water behind it, and what we normally do is we cross the bridge, we walk round this path, and then it takes you to a field. It's a big field. And then you've got the lock, which is where I took photos of my son's band many years ago. And there was a like a wooden platform. No, it wasn't that bit. I took some photos of them lying on the lock with their guitars. But there was another bit we found, a secret bit, with like a wooden platform for the boats, but it had slightly been covered in water, only slightly, and I took photos of them standing on it, but it looked like they were walking on water. That was in here, I think. Yeah, I'm sure it was. Anyway, so we know this area. Now, most of these people that go missing also know these areas that they go missing in, don't they? You'll find that they'll say that they knew the area, they walk there all the time. So we know this area, but we also know how dangerous it is when it's flooded, which is exactly why we stood over here and didn't go any further. So why is it these people that are ending up in rivers are in areas they know, yet they apparently still manage to fall in rivers that they know? Like Nicola Bully, for example, walked her dog in the same part of river every day she posted photos nearly every day on her Instagram of that river. She would have known which parts were dangerous, yet she still supposedly fell in. Right, I understand possibly the ones with the old people, like the 70-year-old man, maybe he had dementia and wandered off and sadly fell in. But these young people, and no, I'm not buying it. And then also, my son lived, let me just find it. Where are we? My son actually lived on the river in the mill flats. Here. My son actually lived here, Riverside Mill, which is actually the river comes right up to the bottom of the flats. You can't see it in this picture. And his flats are joined on to the old 14th century bridge. And there's the 14th century bridge is for cars, and the footbridge next to it is for pedestrians, and that would lead you into town. So, and there's a little tiny bit of river at the back of the flats here, which we used to draw. Myself and my eldest granddaughter used to sit here and draw this little private bit of river behind the flats. But we knew to sit right back on the grass here. You know, safety. People have got brains. So that it was called the cut. And it went behind the flats here, this where the trees are. It's just like a little cut off of the river. And then it led past the flats into the main river. Now, it was here that the day Nicola Bulley was found, my husband pulled a bedpost out of the reeds here, which was a bit creepy because she was found in the reeds, and he pulled it out for the safety of the swans and everything. And it was while he was out doing that, the exact same moment, I photographed that woman in our village who looked exactly like Nicola Bulley, and she had a dog just like her dog, and I'd never seen this woman in our village before or since. But you know, we know this part of the river like the back of our hand, and we don't walk along the bank. We walk along this tree bit, this path. And if we're feeding the swans, we show you where we go. We go here, this concrete platform, and we know this bit here is not deep, so that bit's quite safe. So, but my point is, these people supposedly know these areas where they fall into these rivers. If you know the area, you know which bits are safe or not. You know, I can't swim, but my husband can. And even he says he wouldn't walk along right on the edge of the river if it's flooded or icy or really, really muddy. So I'm not buying these stories. I'm sorry. It just, And there's so many of them that it's getting ridiculous. So I just wanted to point that out, that these are our local rivers. I was only there a couple of days ago doing photography, and it just made me think that this doesn't fit, that these people are falling in rivers that they supposedly know. So obviously this is our main town. We don't actually live here. We used to. But we still come here a lot because of, the grandkids. But we we don't really have a river here. We've got the horrible drains, they're called, there's a really dangerous one that cars keep ending up in, just up from our village, and I'm so scared of it. I refuse to go in the car down it. Because I know it's not safe. And I certainly wouldn't walk alongside it. So no, these stories don't fit. Anyway.